Shabbat shalom, everybody. This is Rav Shmuel, Rabbi Stephen, Rashbi, Rav Shmuel ben Yehoshua. Are you enjoying 5786? We are, with this recording, we're three parshas into our new reading of the Torah, 5786, triennial year one. Hope you're doing well. I am personally recovering. It's been a lot of services. But I really kind of enjoy it. And I really hope you do too. Religion shouldn't be something that's really stuffy, where some guy's up there and, going on about stuff, and you're like, when's this going to be over? I'm a firm believer, and this is part of my background in entertaining. Now, some people may find that blasphemous, sacrilegious, but you know what? Sesame Street proved that if you entertain kids, if you take learning and make it entertaining, kids are going to learn better. And that goes for everybody. If I get up there on a Friday night and say goodbye to what we've been doing for the last thousand or so years and bring my guitar and we sing, fortunately, my voice holds up, right? People are going to enjoy it and they're going to remember it and they're going to embrace it. And the words are going to mean something. And that's what religion is all about. Religion means religere, from the Latin word to adhere. We need to adhere to our spirituality. We need to adhere to God, Hashem. We need to adhere to everybody else. That's what religion is all about. So if it's not meaningful, what is it? One way to make it meaningful. Another way are these parshas, are these 10-minute Torahs that I do. So you've heard me talk about our friend Sherry of blessed memory, and she was the one almost 10 years ago that suggested I do this before I even, became a rabbi, when I was kind of still thinking about it and getting involved. Um, and the idea came to post them on Facebook, on YouTube and Facebook, and they've on Instagram. They've evolved, to what you see now. As I've become a rabbi, I've done more studying, and when I study, I say I. I'm using the word I. The I is it's for we. I do the work for you, for us. That's why I do it, and I want to make sure that my messages are meaningful and appropriate. So. Also, I also ask all of you, keep your attention, do some praying, let God know that we really care about Israel. We want to see peace with Gaza. We want to see the Hamas terrorists out of there. The people in the world that are still protesting, that are still causing trouble, that are still interfering with hostages talking, or ex-former hostages talking to colleges and people and interfering with that. It's horrible right now, but you know what? I truly believe, because I have faith in God and because I have faith in us, that these people will be gone very soon. One way or another, they'll be out of our lives. I really, truly believe that. It's not just hope. I just know that God has sustained us, God has maintained us, He's brought us to this time, and He will again. Okay, let's talk about Lech Lecha, where God brings Abraham to a place he doesn't know, right? He says, I want you to pick up, I want you to leave, take your family, take your servants, and I want you to just go to a place where I will show you, a place you do not know. People will be blessed by who you bless, and people that curse you will be cursed themselves. Think about that. That is carried on through generation to generation. This is why I feel I could say with confidence that these people that are protesting, hostages who have been kept in horrible, we're finding out the horrible conditions for 2 years that some of these people have survived. It's a miracle. It's just such an act of strength. It's akin to what the way people survived the Holocaust, the conditions. And we know that what God told Abraham is true. I will bless those that bless you, and I will curse those that curse you. Think about the act of faith that Abraham had, or Abram. He was known as Abram back then, but if you notice, we're using the words Avraham and Sarah for his wife. Why? Because in the Torah, God says You will no longer be known as Avram. You will now be known as Abraham. Your wife, Sarai, will now be known as Sarah. We see that as a negative commandment, not to refer to Abraham as Abram and not to refer to Sarai as Sarah. Jacob, Israel, we'll get to that in a few weeks. But for right now, this was God's command. So, Avram and Sarah, I know I just broke my own rule, leaves Ur Kasdim, their home, and Avraham and Sarah go through Canaan to Egypt, where he amasses all sorts of wealth in the form of precious stones, in the form of cattle. And of course, he's got his nephew Lot with him, who is now his charge, who's now he's kind of his guardian. So there's another element to this as well. Not only are Abraham and Sarah going to a place that they do not know, a place that God's going to show them physically, they're also going to a spiritual place. Hence the transformation of Avram to Abraham, Sarai to Sarah. Now, I've got my fourth Chumash. Okay, this is Rashi's interpretation of the Chumash that I'm going to be reading this year. Personally, in the past, I have read the Art Scroll. I've read the Hertz Chumash, which is really kind of special to me because it's what I started at years ago after I got out of college. I wanted to learn about Judaism. Picked up some books about Judaism. Wasn't enough. It just didn't feel like it was giving me the full story. I said, you know what? I'm going to the source. Picked up the Hertz Chumash, started calling myself a born-again Jew. Now, that's not what you think, like a lot of other people said. It means that, I grew up, I went through Hebrew school, and looking at the Hebrew school that we're doing today, what I went through was intensive. Me and my generation. Uh, we were in Hebrew school Tuesday, Thursday for a couple hours each, and then Sunday for 3 hours. We went to all the services, first day Passover, second day Passover, Shavuot, Sukkot, all of it. And I learned a lot. And I see now, looking back on it, how much I learned. But you know what? Reading the Chumash, reading the Torah myself, and the commentary blew my mind. Blew my mind, some of the things. Rashi is the one that says that, look, Avram and Sarai were barren. They couldn't have a kid. I mean, here's God telling them, you're going to be a father of a multitude of nations, and Sarah can't even give birth. Not just because of their advanced age. I mean, he left Ur Kasdim when he was 75. Sarah was 65. They're already old people. I'm 70. I don't know if I could have a kid now. But when they become Avram and Sarah, Avram and Sarah, can have a kid. Avram and Sarai, according to Rashi, couldn't have a kid, but Abraham and Sarai, and Abraham, what was the big difference? Circumcision, the Brit. That's the covenant. Okay, so get the kids out of the room and we'll talk about why we do that. So, or leave the kids in. I mean, why not? Let them listen. So, what is the organ that the skin is being removed? And we've heard this expression, circumcise your heart. Get the barrier off the heart. That skin is a barrier. It's a barrier to the organ of reproduction. So, whereas there shouldn't be anything impeding the contact between a man and a woman, there shouldn't be any hindrance, any barrier to our hearts and God. That's what's the metaphor that's being used. So the covenant is, we're going to create generations now that are pure, that are clean, where the contact is intimate, both physically and spiritually. Thus the reason for the circumcision. And by the way, for those doubting Thomases out there, circumcision has been proven to eliminate all sorts of infections. It is the most effective prevention against AIDS. It's not perfect, but against HIV, it's the most effective of all that's out there. It's clean. It doesn't hold bacteria. And they found that there are some actual benefits to it. Shows it reduces even causes of cancer down there. So there it is, infections. So it's a clean thing. So this is the commitment that Abraham made, yes, on our behalf. I mean, we're still making that commitment, right? We're still dealing with the commitment. But it really is kind of beautiful because Abraham and Sarah created a legacy that's lasted 4,000 years. And we're going to see through our readings what how righteous Abraham and Sarah were. Abraham gets in the middle of a war between 9 kings, 4 kings here, 5 kings there. Lot is kidnapped. Abraham goes, he musters up his men, and off they go, and they deal with it. So this is our legacy, folks. So let's think about that. I'm going to be on break next week, seeing my daughter. Looking very much forward to seeing her and her family, with my wife, my Rebbitzin. Hope you all have a great Shabbat. And next week's will probably be a little early because I want to go with a clean mind, okay? Or a fair mind. All right, Shabbat Shalom. Thank you as always for listening.